Some battleground states are showing tightening, one of them being Florida, the biggest battleground of all. A new poll from NBC and Marist has it very tight, essentially tied. Likely voters 48 to 48. If you look at internals of that poll, the Latino vote, you compare the 2016 exit polls with Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, 62-35, Clinton getting the Latino vote in Florida. But in this poll, Joe Biden at 46, Donald Trump at 50%, and that is tracking some Latino numbers in North Carolina as well. One element, obviously we always look at those polls as snapshots in time, but it's interesting to look at them. Let's bring in our panel. Bill Bennett, former Education Secretary, host of the Bill Bennett Show podcast, A.B. Stoddard, Associate Editor at Real Clear Politics, and Matthew Continetti, founding editor of the Washington Free Beacon. A.B., let me start with you. Looking at that NBC Marist poll, it is interesting to see that shift in just a few weeks.
Well, I did always think that the polls were going to tighten and voters were going to kind of come home. I think Joe Biden has seen these really good polling numbers for months, but his campaign expected that interest and engagement on the other side was going to be heightened around this time, and that they would have to be prepared for a tightening race. I think if you're the Trump campaign, you just have to contest everywhere you can with all the force and ability that you can, because you're behind. I think if you're the Biden campaign, you have to do what they've been saying for months they're going to do, which is defend Minnesota, New Hampshire, New Mexico, and Nevada, not be seduced by Texas and Georgia, and then look to pick up places like North Carolina and Florida. So they're more cautious than people give them credit for, but it's still going to be a very volatile time between now and Election Day.
Yeah, we've got those what-if scenarios on the map that will play out over the next few weeks. Bill, if this is true and the Trump campaign is picking up Latino voters in places like Florida and North Carolina, if they are moving the needle in the black vote by 1, 2, 3 points, in some of those states that really could turn the tide.
Yeah, I understand if you go from 8 points from the black community, which was last time, to 11 or 12, that Trump wins. The movement among Hispanic voters, Latino community, is dramatic. Yeah, I agree with AB. I think the thing is tightening, but it's also heating up. And it's getting a kind of intensity now that sometimes is just reserved for October. The other thing is, again from sports, I learned in Washington, you're on offense or you're on defense. Trump's on offense, and Joe Biden's on defense. Trump, the schedule, let's remember, this guy's, 72? This is a Herculean schedule that Donald Trump keeps with no sign of slowing down. Biden, on the other hand, seems to be laboring, not to belabor a point others have made, but, you're on offense, you're on defense, and he's very much on offense, and I think that is a very good thing. The other thing is we are so roiled as a country in terms of violence, splits, divisions. I think that the firmness of Trump, his strength, whatever people may think of his occasional solecisms, may bring moderates and people in the middle back to Donald Trump. They want some certain captain here, even if he curses from time to time. I don't mean Trump does, but a captain does, in stormy seas.
Matthew, what about that schedule? You see the president stopping at 2 states today, and you see the former Vice President Joe Biden taking the day off the campaign trail. No events for Biden or Harris today. We were kind of surprised when we saw that the lid for the press was on by midday.
Well, there are two very different candidates, Brett, modeling two different types of campaigns. The president trying to demonstrate that America is back, that we're putting the pandemic behind us. Biden still very much believing that we need to take steps to contain and then suppress the virus. A few things about the tightening, though. I think it's very important when we consider that this election in 2016 was decided by fewer than 100,000 votes in 3 states. It can be a very narrow margin, can have decisive results in the Electoral College. And I think we're looking right now in these polls at something very similar happening, not in 3 states, but maybe in 6. And that could lead to a very prolonged post-election. The other thing I'd note is that with the Hispanic vote, I think if Trump should win this election, the Democratic National Convention will be seen as a missed opportunity for the Biden-Harris ticket. It had very little to say to Latino voters. And there's this misconception that Latino voters vote solely on immigration. That is not the case. What's more important to them is the economy. And Trump's economic message, I think, is more powerful than Joe Biden's.
Well, we should also point out in Florida, they're playing the "Don't Vote Socialist," and the socialist kind of add to the Cuban American and Puerto Rican American communities. AB, the money game. Joe Biden raising a lot of money in recent weeks. Total raised $328 million. Total spent $229 million. And you take a look at the cash on hand there, roughly about $100 million. The president, a big raise, $414, but a huge spend, and a big story about the spending on that, $301 million, but cash on hand a little bit more. The president even going so far as saying he'd put his own money in this race up to whatever he needs to spend.
Well, let's have this discussion after the election, Brett, and see if he actually ever came up with his own money. I doubt that he intends to do that, but this is a troubling story for them, because you and everyone in this panel and I have talked to Republican donors who have expressed concerns in the summer months about the spending, the disorganization, the grifting that's gone on, and to spend almost $1 billion to not even still really have a message has been a source of a lot of tension on the Republican side. And a lot of concern about the Senate majority and whether donors should just support the senators and not the president's presidential campaign. So he's off TV in a lot of battlegrounds right now.
Do you know how much Mitch McConnell has raised?
No, I don't.
I think it's a staggering number too, but we're going to get that.
But Mitch McConnell's aligned super PAC doesn't want to be spending $5 million in Kansas right now. They have a lot of money to spend. I mean, they have a lot of expense on the Senate Republican side. They have many, many races where the Republican might win, but they have to play defense and do a lot of spending. So they need a lot of money, and they've been very frustrated with the fact that the presidential campaign and Trump-aligned super PACs have been hoovering up all this money for years, and they're majorities now, in question. But I just want to quickly say about TV ads. So Trump is down in battleground states in TV ads for September, going to get back in October. We'll see later on how effective TV ads are. Remember that Trump has been up on YouTube and Facebook for many, many years now, running a general election campaign on those social media platforms all along, long before there was a Democratic nominee. So we're going to look back and have to assess how powerful TV ads are in 2020.
As we always do. Panel, thank you.